obviously, if you're here, then you know what happened. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went into the Dome and took on the New Orleans Saints, and they knocked them out of the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers advanced from the divisional round of the playoffs into the NFC Championship game. Conference finals against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field coming up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've been doing different things since the playoffs started on the channel, so why not keep it different? I don't want to preview the Packers game at all. I just want to soak in the moment of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just did. The feat that they just accomplished. Wow, that was such an impressive win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what a team victory. Really all facets of the game contributing. Having good moments, having bad moments. Offense helping the defense. Defense coming through for the offense. Like, really just an all-around team game. It feels so good to have just ended the Saints season. Sent Sean Payton home. Sent Drew Brees home. Michael Thomas with no catches. No catches. Alvin Kamara, I know he had a decent amount of yards, but he didn't have the kind of impact that we know as Bucs fans he can have. Obviously, being able to just really, anytime he touches the ball, he could score. We did a great job on both of those guys, really taking them out of the game. Two of the game's biggest plays in favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually were at the hands of Jared Cook. Antoine Winfield Jr., A&W on the channel, if you guys know. Amazingly clutch plays, just a sensational play, the kind of plays that we have seen him make all year. Punches the ball out of Jared Cook's hands. Let's settle in on that and discuss that real quick. Antoine Winfield Jr., 2 plays before that play. There's a 1st and 10, and Drew Brees overthrows a crossing route to Emmanuel Sanders, at which point the ball is high enough for Winfield Jr., who's behind Sanders, to actually make a play. Winfield goes up, he's unable to get it, kind of just tips it away. It was a high pass, but to me, you got to make that play. Like, big game, good player, you got to make that play. And I was pretty hard on him at the actual time of that play. Then they hit the slant to against Jamel Dean, I think it was to Sanders. 3rd and short, they run the pick play to Jared Cook against Winfield Jr., because why wouldn't you, when you look at the size disadvantage? Holy cow, is that a massive difference when you just look at it. Winfield Jr.'s beat on the plate, but he's so savvy. Chases him down, and you can see he's not committing to just laying out and diving for the tackle. He chases him down with his arms out because he's getting ready to poke at that ball. Boom. Punches the ball from behind right into the hands of Devon White. What a bounce that ball took. Just to be able to make a play immediately after you miss the opportunity to make a play, that's what great players do. Even if it was a tough catch on the interception that he could have had that he didn't catch, it's still something that as a player, you're thinking about that. That's in the back of your mind, like, dang, I could have made that play, had the chance to make a play, and I didn't. And to be able to bounce back and immediately make a huge, bigger play, that's epic stuff, man. Epic stuff by a rookie. A&W, Antoine Winfield Jr. Love seeing it. Keep it up. One of my favorite players on the whole team. Since we're talking about favorite players on the team, man, Levante David, Devon White, I'm just going to kind of group them in, okay, to the 5-4-4-5 club, man. The middle linebackers on this team, they run the team, they run the defense, they really run the field. They are, in unison, definitely the best middle linebackers the game has to offer. Individually, though, I'll take him over anybody. Devon White, my gosh, Devon White is becoming a hero for Bucs fans just so quickly. Devon White in his first playoff game, you kind of had the feeling Devon White was going to kind of make a big play late at some point in this game, maybe break through, get a sack, something big in this game. I didn't expect him to just dominate the entire game. Devon White, of course, did show up with that big lay play. Of course, he got the interception and then stiff-armed Marquise Callaway, I think it was Callaway, into oblivion. That stiff arm just felt like it had everything that Bucs fans have been feeling for years, just sitting right here in his shoulder, and just unloaded it. Throughout the game, though, the impact he had against the run, dealing with Alvin Kamara is no easy feat. It's tough. And Devon White was up to the task. He was on it all game long. Devon White, in his first playoff game, had One of the best games I've ever seen him play. What a good sign for a guy who is a big part of the Bucs' future. Of course, right next to him, making up the other half of that fierce linebacking core, Levante David. Levante David is just the least prone to make a mistake at any given point out of any player I feel like I've ever seen. Levante David is just a solid, does everything well kind of player. Levante David was all over the field, of course, but just one of the coolest moments I want to single out. Levante David is a super duper humble, quiet guy. Usually he's quiet. If he makes a play, he has a small celebration or he celebrates with teammates, something like that. You saw Levante David, or maybe you didn't. I hope you did, though, because it was an awesome moment. Point to someone on the Saints sideline and say, I want you. Straight at the Saints sideline saying, I want you. I, at the time, could not figure out who he was pointing to because, there's just a lot going on, and I tried to process it really quick and think about who he'd be pointing to, and I wasn't sure. After going back and watching the situation, Alvin Kamara was in the game. The Saints' backup running back, the other running back they were using at the time, Ty Montgomery, was in the game, which leaves only one person I would think it could be, just based off of the matchups and the role that people play in the Saints' offense, Jared Cook. Because Cook was not on the field and did play a pivotal role for the Saints and has all season. He's obviously a good player. They're starting tight end, of course. And late in the game, when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers needed a play, Levante David got that opportunity. You may not even have noticed it because of how exciting everything was, and maybe you just blacked out because of pure joy. But when Mike Edwards got that interception with the sweet footwork, getting the toes on the sideline, Mike Edwards, way to go. Levante David was actually in coverage on that play against Jared Cook on the double move. And then Drew Brees even talked to Jared Cook on the sidelines. He kind of pulled him over like this and he said, Jared, you should have did this, but you did this, and I couldn't read it. For Levante David, being able to get in a guy's head like that, make a clutch play, call a guy out, that was just the most anti-Levante David moment, and it was awesome. Speaking of the man who caught the ball, I would like to say, at least on behalf of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, Mike Edwards, you're forgiven. I feel like now you have an official pardon. Earlier in the season, Mike Edwards decided to make one of the all-time most ridiculous blunders, I guess you could call it. Of course, week 1 against the New Orleans Saints, there was a squib kick, kind of a pooch-it-up style kick by the Saints, and Mike Edwards decided he would turn around, run in the wrong direction towards the ball, and as he attempted to catch the ball, he would demolish J.Don Mickens, ultimately turning the ball over to the Saints and breaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans' hearts in the process. And I've thought about that play every time Mike Edwards has made a play since. Of course, he had that interception against the Green Bay Packers. Also had that one-handed interception against the Denver Broncos. So he's made his fair share of plays since then. But I have never let that one play against the New Orleans Saints go because it was just so ridiculous. But Mike Edwards, at least from this Buccaneers fan, you're pardoned. You did it. You made up for it. Okay, closing out the Saints and Drew Brees' career with an interception is pretty sweet. So thank you to Mike Edwards right there. 3rd interception of the day for Drew, by the way, and we talked about the second, which leads us into the first. Drew Brees' first interception. Sean Murphy bunting up at the line of scrimmage. Now, of course, since it is Tuesday, we know all the things that have come out since about Michael Thomas with Sean Murphy bunting and Carlton Davis. Watching it in the moment and seeing the aggressive nature of the jam that Sean Murphy bunting put on Michael Thomas, that was truly, like, he just was absolutely in his face with no fear. Able to catch it and get going on the return, give the Bucs an opportunity to punch it in a short field, which sets up Mike Evans with one catch in this game, eerily similar to his production the first game the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the New Orleans Saints. Week 1, he had one catch for a touchdown. This game, no different. One catch, a touchdown. And the touchdown to me was just a rebound. I'm going to go catch this. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. Here we go. Boom. Mike Evans, I know he's a little bit injured. I'm not too concerned about his lack of production. It doesn't really bother me too much, especially in a win. And it also doesn't bother me because if you looked at the Buccaneers game plan, which is a nice transition into what we'll talk about next, they didn't force anything. They did a really good job of spreading it around. They didn't really get one guy the ball any more than they needed to. Everybody made their plays. Byron Leftwich. It's hard to talk about who gets all the credit for this because the game planning and who's calling the plays, it's always murky how much input Bruce has and then how much input Brady has, or is it all Byron? How much is, peer pressure from different sides? We have no idea. But I'm going to give Byron Leftwich the credit, and I guess those other guys can get some credit too. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers game planning, it's just gotten so much better. I'm talking since the bye week, but really since the Falcons game at halftime. The second half of the first Atlanta Falcons game really set the tone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It really set the tone for the rest of the season. That was when the Bucs kind of decided who they were going to be and what they were going to do and just how they were going to just win. The best way for them to win. And to their credit, they've stayed committed to that. Since they've decided on that style and that approach, and what we're seeing now with a lot more balance, a consistent willingness to run the ball for 4 yards up the middle and not get away from it because we understand that 4 yards is a good play. It's not a bad play to hand it to Leonard Fournette, and he runs it up the gut for 5. That's okay. That's a solid play. And the Tampa Bay Bucs have not shied away from running the ball, even on third downs now. We had a 3rd and 2, I think, or a 3rd and 3 against the New Orleans Saints, and we ran the ball with Fournette up the gut, and guess what? He got it. He got the conversion. Go figure. To see the Buccaneers have that commitment to the run game and understand that it's another way to help the offense move and protect Tom Brady is to just not make Tom Brady do everything. You can have people help him out. Give the offensive line a break. Give the receivers a break and run the football. Byron Leftwich, somehow, someway, he's figured it out, and he has started calling a much more balanced game plan. He has figured out what this team is set up to do and what it's going to take to win games against really good teams, and especially really good fronts. Man, this is 2 games in a row, and here we go, transitioning to our next thing that I want to talk about. Offensive line, guys. 2 games in a row where the offensive line had the challenge of their lives, and they came to play both games. Last week, Chase Young, all that, we know what it is. It doesn't need to be rehashed. This week, though, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up against the Saints, who are notorious for just destroying Donovan Smith and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line over and over and over again. But Donovan Smith is earning his money right now. He's in the playoffs playing left tackle, protecting the greatest quarterback in NFL history. And he's earning his money. Donovan Smith is playing the best I've ever seen him play, which is cool. I don't feel like we need to talk about him. I feel like Bucs fans already know. Tristan Wirfs is the truth. He's the real deal. Sliding right in. How about our boy Stinnie? Oh my gosh. Stinnie getting in the game. And I know he did have that one false start. But look, for a dude to just get thrown in the game, he didn't even play last week. Now, I believe he came in against the Rams in that Rams game. I think he stepped in when Marpet got injured for like one drive at the very end of the game. Stinnie, my dude, way to go. Proud of you. Of course, we kick it one over, and we got Ryan Jensen, who looks like he is just waiting to punch somebody in the face every single snap. I love it. Ryan Jensen was one of the better actual offseason moves that Jason Light has made. It's tough because the list of offseason moves that Jason Light has made is literally like, it's like a scroll. And obviously, somewhere near the top are going to be like Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. And, it's tough to say that Ryan Jensen is that high on the list. But Ryan Jensen does bring such an attitude and a toughness to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Originally, when he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, he was totally undisciplined with it and would get ridiculous penalties. And it's not that he's completely eliminated his ridiculous penalties, but he's done a much better job of just simmering down a little bit. And it's okay to be tough, but let's toe that line with too much toughness and too much aggression. So Ryan Jensen, of course, we move over to Ali Marpet. And Ali Marpet, I mean, what do we need to say? He's probably one of the best players on the team. definitely a top 5 player on the team, if not top 3. Ali Marpet is Ali Marpet. I went through and I was trying to find who I would say was the best player, you know, the team MVP kind of thing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was actually difficult for me. It's just such a team game. I think there's definitely a couple names you could throw out there, and I'm gonna say, man, there's so many. I think I'm gonna go with the offensive line. The offensive line, really, without them, none of it works. The offensive line did a good enough job in the run game where both Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette were able to have pretty big impacts. Leonard Fournette, and especially really in these last 2 games, has been showing you why he deserves touches and why the Bucs got him. And Ronald Jones in this game, he had the big run that got called back, but even without that big run, they opened up a couple nice holes for him. He was running hard all game long. Man, you love it, man. The Buccaneers backfield, running behind that O-line, it's been looking good. And the offensive line, I think Tom Brady got sacked once, or a couple plays here and there with some pressure, but the offensive line really made it go. Like, I came away from that game feeling like we had a top 5 offensive line in the National Football League. I don't normally feel that way. They really, they brought it. So the offensive line, I think, if anybody gets a game MVP, the offensive line definitely is deserving of that. I know this video might be kind of a long one, but I feel like that's okay because we just beat the freaking Saints in the Dome, guys, in the playoffs, sent them home. Like, bye. Sent them home. Shut down Michael Thomas. Handled Alvin Kamara. Bullied Drew Brees. And just literally pushed their defense around. In the Dome. In the playoffs. In the divisional round of the playoffs. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the NFC Championship game. This is the conference championship. Wow, it's an amazing feeling. I know I didn't yell at all in this video. I don't think I've ever yelled more in a game than I yelled at the TV in this game. Bucs fans, just take it in, rejoice. This is an amazing moment right here. And just soak it in, just absorb it and let it sink in right through your pores, right? Ooh, it feels so good, doesn't it? Like, wow. Doesn't it just feel like, it just feels incredible. Like, we're in the NFC Championship. We're going to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. And look, I don't want to get into a preview. I'm just not in the right headspace. It's going to be a tough game. Definitely one that the Buccaneers can win, though. Tough game, but a winnable game. Guys, we beat the New Orleans Saints. That's going to do it for this video. Of course, as always, I love it when you guys stay around to the end. That's, like, really cool. You could do likes, comments, all that good stuff, subscribe or not, but I just, wow. Every time I think about it, I just lose my whole train of thought. The Buccaneers beat the Saints in the NFC divisional round of the playoffs. We're going to the NFC Championship. We just beat the Saints. Drew Brees, he threw 3 picks. How about Winfield Strip? All right, guys. That Devon White play, all right, that Devon White play though, wow, all right. Guys, that is going to do it, okay, for this video. What a fun video to make. What a game to watch. Thank you to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everybody. Big contributions across the board. It's just a big-time team win. So, let's go Bucs. We're going to the NFC Championship game for the first time since the 2002 season, and we all know what happened in 2002. So let's go Tampa Bay. Let's go Bucs. Battle of the Bays next week. NFC Championship game.